The band is back together in the second season of Prime Video's The Legend of Vox Machina. Critical Role reprises their characters for another epic campaign. But is it worth the time? After saving the realm from evil and destruction at the hands of the most terrifying power couple in Exandria, Vox Machina is faced with saving the world once again, this time from a sinister group of dragons known as the Chroma Conclave. Alright, so if you're a fan of the first season, this one triples down on the emotional investment and builds out a campaign that is insanely tense, action-heavy, and full of peril. Now in Season 1, we got two campaigns. Well, one of them was really short, and then the other one lasted a bit longer. But we also got to dive a bunch into Percy's backstory, all while getting to know the rest of the characters that make up Vox Machina. Now in this season, Percy takes a little more of a backseat. He's still very present and integral to a lot of arcs, but the story doesn't dive into his background since we've already learned about him. But everybody else gets some great character treatment and development with lots of information on their pasts, which then led them to where they are now with Vox. This season is again 12 episodes with 3 dropping each week. And since these are all relatively short, having 3 at a time, it does make for some satisfying watching. Now, episode 1 starts off in a massive way, putting us right into some harrowing action. And there's a new foe that Vox has to face, and I love that this campaign, it spans the entirety of the second season. It's not drawn out, but rather filled with all kinds of challenges and quests as a group must search for some things that are going to assist them in their journey. The voice cast once again is magnificent, with all the actors just really leaning into their characters. There's also great timing with them, which I think comes from knowing each other so well and playing these campaigns for as long as they have together. But outside the regular cast, there are other well-known names that lend their voices to key parts. Like Lance Reddick with his signature just smooth voice. But there's also Rory McCann, Ralph Ineson, Indira Varma, Troy Baker, Stephanie Beatrice, Billy Boyd, and then even Henry Winkler. I found myself becoming very invested in the characters. And not that I wasn't somewhat with them in Season 1, but here, because we learn so much more about them and their histories, we really get to know them and then have an understanding of their struggles and their mindsets. There's this killer character progression with Caliph that is so awesome to watch. We've seen her be timid and afraid, and now we finally get to see her come into her own in just spectacular fashion. What she does is epic, and it's awesome to watch, especially as she has some hero moments that are sprinkled throughout. But she's not the only one also to have a hero moment. Most of them do, which is really nice, especially because this season is filled with danger and peril for the whole team. There were times that I gasped at what was happening because I just wasn't ready for it. And then I was worried for what it meant going forward. The danger is intense, and the situations the characters find themselves in, they don't have easy outs where a story convenience just solves everything for them. There are minor conveniences and plot protections here and there, but when the chips are down and characters look like they could die, I never got the sense that they'd all escape unscathed, or even alive for that matter. And I love what that does for the emotional pull of the storytelling. And speaking of emotion, there's so much that's wrapped up in what we watch over the course of the season, especially as the story dives into the character development. Now, I mentioned Caliph, but there's also Vax and Vex. Now, their story is touching and it's tough to watch at points. And then, good grief, when the story focuses on Grog, that is a rough part of the story. Not rough as in poorly written or acted, just the emotions that are wrapped up not only in his past, but also his present. They're powerful. And everybody kept telling me that Scanlan has a great backstory, and that he's not just this immature and trashy character like he comes across for most of Season 1. Well, in the second season, we get more insight into him, and there are some parts that are examined in his story that are both funny and sad. And some of the reveals, they are a bit predictable, but I didn't mind because what was being told in the narrative felt earned, and it came about naturally as part of the actual campaign. So it worked even with the obviousness. I'm still really enjoying the animation, and if that first season didn't have enough violence for what maybe you thought it should have been, there is a ton of bloody gore this time. There are some really painful looking scenarios. And at one point, Grog voices exactly what was going through my head as he looks on at this opponent amidst all the carnage. This season, it literally doesn't pull punches and goes all out in every action sequence. I'm really excited for everybody to check this second season out. The first season was good and it was fun, and I did really enjoy it. But after seeing this full arc, this current campaign, it is downright excellent. The story's engaging and it's captivating, and it's filled with excitement, suspense, dread, even laughs too. The challenges the characters face, they finally feel like they're actually up against an enemy who's come to play. And that makes the fights tough, dangerous, and also invigorating to watch. Now, maybe the biggest downside to this season is that the campaign has not fully been completed. There is a major stage that's been cleared, but there are even more treacherous threats that have to be conquered. I'm all in when Season 3 comes, though. If you've not seen Season 1 yet, but it is intriguing you, there's plenty of time to catch up. You can binge all of that first season and then be current with Season 2 really quickly and easily. So overall, Season 2 of The Legend of Vox Machina takes what worked in terms of voice acting, animation, and enjoyable campaigns from Season 1 and drastically improved upon them all for Season 2. The character development is rich and deep, solidifying the emotional attraction to each. And this current campaign Vox undertakes is rife with threats and danger, creating thrilling and engaging sequences that make binging the show an easy and awesome experience. There's a little bit of nudity, maybe some brief sex. Certainly there is discussions and innuendos surrounding sex. There's almost then nonstop profanity and violence. I give Season 2 of The Legend of Vox Machina 4.5 out of 5 couches. Do yourself a favor and get on this show as quickly as you can, especially if you enjoy fantasy and or animation. So, who's your favorite character? After this season, I think I have to go with Caliph, but Vax, he's really close second. Let me know yours, though, in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.